In 1965, a village named Rangkaspuna became a dumping ground for unidentified corpses. Once prosperous and fertile, Rangkaspuna gradually turned into a terrifying and dark place. In 1966, a woman arrived in the village, claiming she could restore its prosperity. Her name was Naito. However, in return, she demanded unborn babies, Jabambai, as sacrifices. Most of the villagers fled the area, leaving behind only a handful of residents. From that time on, Rangkaspuna became known as Kampung Jabambai. Naito constantly demanded newborn fetuses as offerings and frequently performed abortions for couples who were not ready to become parents. Strangely, the women who underwent abortions at Naito's place felt no pain at all. The fetus would come out effortlessly. Naito's Sulu would then consume the fetus. The story then shifts its focus to a young woman named Wida, a photo model whose career was at its peak. One day, her friend informed her that she had been offered a role in a film. The good news came on her birthday. She was about to become a major star in the capital city and soon met with the director. However, in the midst of her rising career, Wida faced a terrifying problem. She was pregnant. The pregnancy was the result of an illicit relationship with her boyfriend Bagas, a photographer. Bagas urged Wida to have an abortion. Wida did not want to do it, believing it to be a sin, but Bagas pressured her, fearing a major scandal. If the truth were revealed, Wida's career would be ruined. It was later revealed that Bagas was actually a native of Rangkaspuna, also known as Kampung Jabambai. He wanted to take Wida to his village to have the abortion because Naito lived there. According to him, if the abortion was done there, Wida would not feel any pain. Wida was reluctant to go. She even began having dreams about her unborn child. Nevertheless, under Bagas's pressure, they finally decided to go to the village. The village was extremely remote, with only a few people living there. Naito's house was located far away, so they had to walk several kilometers from the main road. They were still traveling the next day, and eventually, they arrived at the entrance of Kampung Jabambai. At the gate, they saw numerous pig bones hanging from the entrance. After that, Bagas begins to tell a story. Any young man or woman from this village who wants to go to the city for work must first hang pig bones at the village entrance. It is then shown that before entering his own village, Bagas performs a ritual. After that, Bagas and Wida finally enter the village. Once inside, the village appears almost lifeless. Very few people seem to live there. Before reaching Naito's house, Bagas asks Wida to stop. He then gives her a ring. It was a birthday gift for Wida. This makes her feel that Bagas truly loves her. They are about to kiss, but suddenly they stop after hearing a strange sound. In short, they eventually arrive at Naito's house. Bagas immediately knocks on the door. However, the door is opened by Rini, Naito's assistant. Naito is not at home at the time. Rini is there with her son, Guna. Rini invites Wida inside and asks Bagas to wait outside. Wida is then asked to sit down. Rini gives her a glass of lukewarm sweet tea. After that, Rini offers Wida a stalk of lemongrass, but Wida refuses to take it. Rini asks, "Doesn't Bagas want to take responsibility for Wida's pregnancy?" Rini goes on to explain that Bagas is actually a native of this village. Later, he moved to the city and did not return for a long time. He grew accustomed to city life, where he eventually became involved with Wida. In the end, he does not want to take responsibility. Wida replies, "That's not exactly the case." She explains that the decision to have an abortion was made because both she and Bagas are not yet ready to become parents. After that, Wida is taken to a room, as the abortion ritual will be performed the next day. That night, Wida will rest in that room. Exhausted from the long journey, Wida lies down on the bed. A short while later, she sees the door open by itself. Then she hears strange noises coming from the kitchen. Wida immediately goes there, and sees that a pot has fallen to the floor. She picks up the boiling kettle, and at that moment she is startled. Rini's son, Guna, is suddenly standing behind her. Through gestures, Guna seems to warn Wida that she must leave this village as soon as possible. However, he cannot speak because Guna is mute. Suddenly, Guna collapses and loses consciousness. Rini then comes and calms her child. Before the ritual begins, Wida is instructed to follow several rules. One of them is to bathe using mud. After that, Wida goes behind the house to draw water from the well. Rini then instructs her to smear the mud all over her body and forbids her from using any soap brought from the city. Not even ordinary soap. Don't use any bathing products at all, sister. After bathing, Wida strangely begins to experience stomach pain. This is likely a side effect of bathing with the mud. On top of that, she starts vomiting. Just then, she sees Gunnar running outside the house. Despite feeling dizzy, Wida follows him. But after going some distance, she loses sight of Gunnar. Instead, she sees the figure of a man with the head of a pig. In the very next moment, Wida loses consciousness. When she regains consciousness, Wida finds herself in an open field. There stands a gigantic statue of a demon, its legs spread apart, and the upper part of its body severed. Wida asks Gunnar how she ended up there. A short while later, a woman arrives. It is Naito. Upon seeing Naito, Gunnar immediately runs away. Naito tells Wida to come closer to her. She says, "Let him go. Gunnar knows every path in this village. He won't get lost." Naito then explains the meaning of the giant statue. It is a symbol of birth and death. With every birth, the death of someone else is inevitable. Standing directly in front of Wida, Naito senses that Wida is no ordinary person. "Your problem will be resolved very soon." She then instructs her assistant, Kijaya, to prepare all the ritual equipment that very day. This confuses Wida, because earlier it was said that the abortion ritual would take place the next day, but suddenly it is moved forward. After returning home, Wida is dressed and prepared for the abortion ritual. She is told to make herself as beautiful as possible. Meanwhile, Kijaya is ordered to slaughter a black chicken. At the same time, Bagas goes to meet Naito. Naito thanks Bagas for bringing Wida to the village. Wida is the person Naito has been searching for all this time. "Thank you, Bagas. You kept your promise. A promise must be kept." After that, Bagas goes to see Rini. Their behavior shows intimacy. It is later revealed that Rini and Bagas are actually husband and wife, and Gunnar is their son. The truth is that Naito had sent Bagas to the city to find a woman whose birth date was June 6, 1966. Naito wanted the unborn child of that woman. If Bagas succeeded, Gunnar would recover and be able to speak again. Now Bagas has found that woman. It is Wida, because her birthday falls exactly on that date. However, Rini becomes furious. Seeing the closeness between Bagas and Wida fills her with jealousy. Wida sees Bagas holding Rini in his arms. This makes her extremely angry. At that very moment, she decides to escape. Bagas tries to block her path, but Wida refuses to listen to anything and keeps running. She shouts, "Do you really love me? Why do you need this cursed village so badly?" However, Wida realizes that she cannot leave the village. There seems to be an invisible barrier at the village entrance that she cannot break through. In reality, Wida has already become bound to the village. The reason is that she wore the ring given to her by Bagas, which actually belonged to Naito. In addition, she has already completed the mud bathing ritual. Wida is then taken to the giant stone and dressed in special ceremonial clothing. Naito immediately begins her ritual. Instantly, the sky changes color and turns dark. Kijaka puts on a pig mask and begins playing a drum-like instrument, making the atmosphere even more terrifying. Suddenly, something strange possesses Wida's body. Her legs begin to move on their own, as if an unseen force is controlling her. She suddenly starts dancing flawlessly. Wida is then locked inside a wooden cage. Naito continues chanting spells. After some time, the sky clears again and the wooden cage opens. Naito resumes the ritual in front of the house. Once again, she forces Wida to dance. Wida becomes possessed again, her body moving and dancing by itself according to the village's traditions. Soon after, Wida loses consciousness. She is carried inside the house and laid on the ritual table. Preparations are made to perform the abortion. Naito cuts Wida's hair and eats it. But at that moment, Wida bites Naito's hand and escapes. Naito writhes in pain. While fleeing, Wida is caught once again by Bagas. Crying, Bagas begs her to save his son, Gunnar. "Only you can heal Gunnar and make him speak again." But Wida refuses to listen. She strikes Bagas in a sensitive spot and manages to escape. During her escape, Wida encounters Kijaka. Kijaka tells her to calm down and assures her that he is now on Wida's side and will not harm her. Kijaka explains that he has long been resentful of Naito. Naito is a witch. She pretended to want to make the village prosperous, but her true intention was different, to achieve immortality by consuming unborn babies. Naito can remain immortal, but she needs a new body to do so, and that body must be born on a date made up of 3 sixes. The 6th day, the 6th month, in the year 1966. That is why Wida was being prepared as a sacrifice, so that Naito could take over her body. Just then, Bagas and Rini find Wida. Bagas tries to grab her, but Kijaka protects her. Kijaka reveals that both Bagas and Rini have been brainwashed by Naito. Naito was never a good person. She was truly evil. She had deliberately kept Guna, the son of Bagas and Rini, sick and mute, so that she could use them to achieve immortality. Naito never intended to help them in the first place. After saying this, Kijaka strikes Bagas hard, knocking him to the ground. Kijaka then takes Wida to a secret location. There, a pig bone is found buried beneath the ground. That bone is Naito's weakness. If she is struck with it, she can be killed. Kijaka explains that Naito is at her weakest while performing the ritual. Therefore, to destroy Naito, Wida must go along with the ritual no matter what. Meanwhile, Bagas and Rini go to Naito to beg for forgiveness because they failed to capture Wida. After hearing Kijaka's words, doubt begins to grow in Rini's mind. Perhaps Naito never intended to heal Guna at all. All the rituals were actually meant to transfer Naito's soul into Wida's body. When Rini voices this suspicion, Naito becomes furious. They return once again to the open field. Kijaka tells Wida that to completely destroy Naito, she must eat the pig's heart buried between the legs of the giant statue. But before he can finish speaking, a wooden cage suddenly falls and pierces Kijaka. Moments later, Bagas strikes Wida on the head from behind. Wida is taken back to the abortion table. Naito is now very close to fulfilling her desire. She searches inside Wida's clothes, finds the pig bone, and hands it to Rini. Rini notices that Naito is not performing the abortion ritual in the usual way. At the same time, Guna suddenly starts having a seizure. This confirms all of Rini's suspicions. Naito never intended to cure Guna. She only wanted to transfer her soul into Wida's body. Immediately, Rini attempts to strike Naito with the pig bone, but Bagas stops her. Rini pushes Bagas away. She then stabs Naito in the back with the sharp pig bone. Naito screams in agony. Just then, Bagas gets up and attacks Rini, grabbing her by the throat. Naito begins to age rapidly within moments. At the same time, Guna's seizure stops. Guna quickly unties Wida's hands. Fortunately, Wida rushes forward to help Rini. She strikes Bagas on the neck with the pig bone. After that, Guna leads Wida and his mother back to the open field. He tells them that another secret object is buried at the center, between the legs, of the giant statue with its legs spread apart. In fact, it was a pig's heart. Through gestures, Guna signals Wida to eat it. At that moment, Naito appears. She is still alive because she was only stabbed in the back. Now she has become extremely old. Her hair is white, and her nails are long and black. Rini steps forward and blocks her path. She clearly warns Naito not to touch Wida. A brutal fight breaks out between Naito and Rini. Naito attacks with her long nails, while Rini defends herself with the pig bone. Meanwhile, Guna keeps gesturing to Wida, urging her again and again to eat the pig's heart. At one point in the fight, Naito's long nails slash Rini's face. Rini screams in pain. Despite this, she repeatedly strikes Naito in the stomach and chest. At the same time, Naito stabs Rini in the chest with her nails, piercing Rini's heart. However, Wida finally finishes eating the pig's heart. As a result, Naito is completely killed and destroyed. Suddenly, Guna begins to speak again. Before dying, Rini hears her son speaking once more. "Mom! Mom!" In the end, Wida leaves for the city with Guna. There, Guna is enrolled in school and begins to learn how to read. Wida's unborn child is also healthy, and her pregnancy has reached 6 months. But when other children try to introduce themselves to him, Guna states his name. "My name is Kijaya Adagunagama." So did Kijaka's soul enter the child? And what happened to the real Guna? In the film's final scene, a villager is seen in the open field carrying a goat's head and a pig's heart. He attempts to resurrect Naito, because he does not want to continue living a life of poverty and suffering in Kampong Jabon Mai. Suddenly a black shadow,